This video is about 7 Coast Guardsmen from Coast Guard Cutter Clover, WAGL-292, and that's a picture of Clover you're looking at right there on the screen, who lost their lives on the 19th of May, 1944, while trying to assist the fishing vessels Alaskan and Longan in Dry Bay, Alaska. And I'll post a picture here of Alaska, and you can see the red arrow where Dry Bay is located. And I first came across this story while I was compiling my book Coast Guard Tragedies, and I actually have a chapter there on this this tragedy in that book. But it was very very basic, and because there wasn't a lot of information on this, because at the time this was during World War II, and everything was censored. So everything that I could pull up from newspaper articles and so forth didn't name the vessel and didn't name the exact location due to it being classified. And it wasn't until I came across a collection of this gentleman right here, who is Motor Machinist Mate First Class Jack Orcutt, that I kind of stumbled back into this this Coast Guard Cutter Clover incident, and I came across this collection of photographs of Jack Orcutt, and what intrigued me was on the back of the picture, which is right here. It said that he died May 19th, 1944 in Alaska. And I thought, wow, that's really interesting. I'd like to know more about that and research it. So I acquired the collection of photographs, and that led me into what I'm about to explain to you right now. And because he was one of the 7 Coast Guardsmen that were killed on the 19th of May, 1944, trying to assist these 2 fishing vessels in Dry Bay, Alaska. So what happened on May 19th, 1944? Well, the Coast Guard Cutter Clover, which was a 180-foot Cactus class buoy tender, commissioned in November of 1942, was conducting aids to navigation duties in Alaska, and that was her primary duty there at the time. And she was dispatched to assist these 2 fishing vessels, the Alaskan and Longan, in Dry Bay, Alaska, and they had apparently run into some rough weather and run aground on the beach. Well, the Clover started coming into Dry Bay, and they lowered one of their small boats with 7 crew members, and I'll post the 7 crew members here right now. One of them being the executive officer of Clover, LTjg Jack E. Shaw, and they headed in to the beach, and as they were making their way, they ran into some, the heavy weather and heavy surf caused them some problems, and they sent a distress signal back to Clover saying, they were in danger. So the Clover's commanding officer dispatched another small boat to, assist those 7 men, and they went into Dry Bay, but they could not find the first vessel or their 7, fellow crew members. So they returned back to the Clover, and the captain signaled into the 2 fishing vessels for them to also, try to search the beach to see if they can find out, or assist the 7 crew members. Well, they couldn't find anything either. Well, then these Coast Guard Paratroop Rescue Squad, they were ordered in. They conducted a search, and and they reported back that all they could see was a capsized small craft about 1,500 yards inside the bay, and then subsequent searches turned up 10 life jackets washed up ashore in the bay that were presumed to be those which were in the small boat. Now, the 7 crew members were wearing life vests, but these life vests that were found were 10 extra ones that were, I guess, stowed on board the boat. And I assume they were taking them in to, help assist the fishing vessels, their crew. So, yeah, their bodies were never found, and they were presumed missing in action because this was during World War II. And like I mentioned earlier, there was limited information in the newspaper and even on some of the official documents that I could find on fold3.com. Everything was classified at that time, the location, the exact location, the cutter. But yeah, they were never recovered, but they are listed on the missing in action and buried at sea monument in Honolulu, Hawaii, which I'll post a picture of right here. Yeah, just a very interesting and tragic incident for the Clover and for the U.S. Coast Guard. I mean, even during World War II, losing 7 Coast Guardsmen all in one incident was a pretty high casualty rate. And Clover had a complement of 6 officers and 74 enlisted men. And in doing research on this, I've said it before. There's not a lot of information. I really had to dig to come up with the 7 Coast Guardsmen's name that perished during this incident. And I wish I had more pictures of those crew members. I did come across one of Lieutenant J.G. Shaw, the XO, but it was in an old newspaper article, and you could barely distinguish him. So, the only photographs that I was able to come up with were those from Motor Machinist Mate First Class, Jack Orcutt, whose collection I acquired here. And what's, interesting about these, and I'll post them here, is that you can see in, and I'll let you know which ones they are as they come up. He's wearing, his first class crows. So these pictures were taken just before he perished. And then his first photo, he's with his dad Claire and mom Fern, and he was their only son. And they did have a daughter named Phyllis. And he's not wearing, just like in this picture with his mom Fern, he's not wearing first class crows that I can make out. It looks like third class crows. So this is probably right after he graduated from Motor Machinist Mate school. And then here in this photo with his dad Claire, you can see he is wearing first class Machinist Mate crows. So this is probably pretty close to when the time that he perished in that incident. And the same with this self-portrait of him. He's wearing the first class crows. So this is probably on a trip back home before he perished. And they were from Wisconsin. And this is probably a cousin that was in the Army, because like I mentioned earlier, it was just himself and a sister, Phyllis. And then this is, a really interesting shot. This is him boarding the train, leaving home, and he's wearing his first class crow. So this is more than likely the last picture and the last time his parents saw Jack Orcutt before he perished in Dry Bay, Alaska. So a really moving photograph right there. I hope you enjoyed this video. I try to upload similar military and patriotic videos here on my site about every other day. And if you're interested in a good read, check out my books at www.edsumler.com. You can see there in the bottom left-hand corner, the book I mentioned, United States Coast Guard Tragedies, where I mention this incident on Clover and many others that occurred in the Coast Guard. And enjoy.